There was no election in the Senate. It was a unanimous decision, wasn't it?
That was in the Senate, yes, because there was only one nomination. There was only one nomination in the Senate. So, of course, it wasn't as if the other people were not even there to even nominate. So it was on one nomination.
Yeah, so...
You know, my question, well, we know of that already. He came unopposed, just one nomination. Yeah. But the thing is, don't you think that this is already over? They have already taken it the way it is. What we're saying could be termed as grandstanding to please the leadership of their party. Otherwise, if they're still aggrieved with the leadership of the Senate, why did they come before him to take the oath?
Of course, if you are not in a game, you cannot play the game. But if you are not in the game, you cannot be able to play the game.
Well, speaking
if
about...
they have taken their oath of office, they would have had issues regarding performing senators. So in order for them to ventilate their position, they have to take their oath before they can even speak. You saw them speaking yesterday because they have already taken the oath. They have been recognized as senators. So it is then they can now espouse their own views as regard to what they see that may be wrong or right. So they must take that particular oath to be able to speak. So now it is very, very evident that the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, need to show leadership of inclusiveness. Yes, some are aggrieved, but they can be bring on board. Those who are aggrieved can take their own position internally, but not at the detriment of the collective interests of Nigerians. Well, if they do that, others, of course, some of the political party will be happy if the House is in a disarray so that they can take undue advantage. But for me and others, we want this democracy to advance beyond this. We want to have a good working relationship which can uplift the standard of democracy. So that even when we are discussing, at this stage, honestly speaking, we shouldn't be discussing about the issue of leadership in the Senate or the Federal House of Representatives at this particular point in time. Well, we have issues on the street. Fuel scarcity is already on. Power supply is not adequate. The economy is in shambles. We are looking for ways out. I think those are the issues that we're actually supposed to be talking about. Yeah, but even when we want to disagree.
That's part of the reason why they are there in the first place. So who knows, with time, I guess they'll bring up all of these issues. But about what transpired in the Senate, you know, different schools of thought are there. Many will say, for the fact that he came up unopposed doesn't invalidate the process, or to say, no, he wasn't elected on that grounds. But if I remember properly, I think it was Senator Abaribe who said, that's the day before yesterday, that, look, we saw an opportunity and we took it. And then Senator Goje said yesterday on the floor of the House, look, anyone who went to any other meeting and did not come for the proceedings, they are on their own. And so it could have even gone a little, perhaps, worse for the APC because, I mean, there are statements credited to Senator Milai that Deputy Senate President emerged because the other senators from the APC didn't show up. So you can then imagine if perhaps it went the other way and maybe someone didn't show up and the PDP presented the Senate President and then they become Senate President and Deputy Senate President. So who do we blame for this one, if we can use that word blame in this regard?
Well, for me, I think it's laxity, not blaming. What ought to have been done is that some people think that, okay, it's a normal situation. We are a family. We can solve this particular problem. They can wait for us and all of those ones. But those who have another interest may not wait because they make sure they were very, very calculative. They know exactly what they wanted and they went for it. And that's one thing about, you know, politics is about space. This circle of space. Once you do not take that space, others will take it. So you
all right, then. You're also chairman of National Conscience Party, as well as the chairman Inter-Party Advisory Council. Could you tell us, what would your advice be if tomorrow you have a meeting with the chairman of the APC, for instance?
Yeah, of course, my advice, I've already mentioned it earlier on. He must be able to call his members to order as quickly, show control, show leadership. You are all my children, you are all members of the same party. We have already promised A, B, C. But don't let us take our eyes out of the ball. We have internal issues. Let's solve it now and work together as a team. Don't show anger. Don't take one side from one side and say you're supporting one side or the other and then show maybe a divided house. No, you must, and the neck is not only him. Everybody on that particular National Working Committee should show love to all concerned. Then if there are aggrieved positions, something that he didn't know before, everybody will start coming out with it gradually. And as a chairman, he must be able to quickly look at the interests of everybody and then put on the table that this is how we are going to go about your own individual interests, but collectively, this is how we must go together. Because he must do that to show signs of leadership. Because if he doesn't, already people will now start taking camps. You must not give room for people to take camps. You must work together and then show leadership. This is very, very urgent and important.
Well, at the end of the day, whichever way maybe the bills start coming in, because I see comments coming through here, Dagogo asking, well, you should have asked those who didn't come in. Weren't they aware of the time of the sitting? But should there be an excuse for non-performance owing to what has transpired in the National Assembly this time?
There shouldn't be any. Nigerians are not waiting to hear anything. Look, that's why I said, they're not, at this moment, they thought probably things should have been going. I listened to you the other day when you were mentioning that when the President Muhammadu Buhari was signing, somebody tweeted and was saying that within just the time he was signing, 3 minutes, what is this man doing? Get to work. That's how eager they are. So by now, what they expect to see, this fuel scarcity off the road, issue of power, direct situation has already taken place. You know, the economy, this is the direction. I'm happy that the president has already traveled out of the country to look at other people who can help him in certain situations. What they want to see is that working now going on. It must not be an excuse. That is the reason why I'm saying that the leadership should now quickly harmonize their own position and get to work. This is what we want to see. We want to see a purposeful governance that will entrench democracy to the heart of the Nigerian people and as quickly as possible, so that some of us who are not in government will be prepared to challenge the government in the areas we feel they can improve or they're not doing well. This is only to add value to the system, but not to kind of reduce the government in any way. But, you know, if things like this are happening, and then the House is not doing what it's supposed to do. What I mean by the House, collectively, the political party, the Senate, and the House of Representatives are not doing what they are expected to do. They are still engaged in fighting and bickering. It's not go well for democracy at all. So we will advise, and strongly too, that any time it has taught everybody a lesson, once there are constitutional provisions in any organization, you must quickly adhere to timing, work together with who are already organizing it to ensure that you do not run foul of the provisions. And even if you want to do anything, the people who are in the aim of affairs should be called upon to know where you are going. Just as in the case of some people having a meeting in the morning when they're supposed to be in the house and all. You must know all of this.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Yinusa Tanko, Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, and also National Chairman of the NCP. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, then let's flip over here, the other side of the studios, where Melinda Kilame is standing by with a look at the headlines.